Well, thank you, Dr. Girish, dear Bastian. And let me say thank you all for being here. And I see many faces I know, so I cannot hug you personally at the moment, but I would have loved to do that. And it's also good to be back in beautiful Prague. And it's a pleasure to have the opportunity to have this debate with you this morning. Double S has a reputation when it comes to assessing military capabilities. You know that. The military balance, if you will. So it comes as no surprise that we are here today, and I'm here today, to talk about European military capabilities and what we need to keep our continent safe. Now, but also in the future. And this is such a crucial topic. And you will not be surprised to hear me say that we need more than we currently have. A lot more, I can tell you. Because we face serious and lasting threats. Russia and China are investing heavily to build up and modernize their militaries. Their defense industries are producing weapons and heavy military equipment at a remarkable, I might say, at a staggering rate. And this is not just to show off at major military parades in Moscow or like yesterday in Beijing, but to aggressively exert influence, attempt to reshape the global order and undermine our freedom and security. This is at stake. Today, Russia allocates 40% of its budget on its war economy. 40%. So I'm not saying 14%, no, 40%, 40. And this year alone, it is expected to roll out at least 1,500 tanks, 3,000 armored vehicles, and hundreds of Iskander missiles. Yes, they are using this equipment against Ukraine. And we are working to end this aggression as quickly as possible and to secure a just and lasting peace. But we should not be naive. This trend is not going to shift or reverse anytime soon. Russia is, and for the foreseeable future will remain, a destabilizing and confrontational force in Europe and the world. And that's why when NATO leaders met in The Hague in June, our priorities were crystal clear. Invest a lot more in defense and speed up our defense production. And that's exactly what we are doing. Europe and North America together in NATO, and we are, I can tell you, already making progress. First, on defense spending. At the summit, as you know, NATO allies agreed to invest 5% of GDP in defense by 2035. 5%. And that's a lot of money, but it is what we need. This investment will fuel a substantial leap in our collective defense. Of the 5%, at least 3.5% of GDP will be invested in core defense requirements to fund our militaries and the equipment they need according to the traditional NATO definition of defense spending, something this crowd knows very well. And 1.5% will go towards investments that support our defense and security, like infrastructure, like cybersecurity, industry. We know what we need. At NATO, we have a clear and ambitious list of capability targets, and this 3.5% is anchored in those capability targets. They outline what each ally needs to provide to keep our 1 billion people safe. The details of this list, of course, are classified, but to give you an idea, we need to increase the number of air and missile defense systems 5-fold. We need thousands more armored vehicles and tanks. We need millions more artillery shells. We need more drones and cyber and space capabilities. So we have the shopping list. But to buy, we need the cash. And the good news is that there is already more cash on the table and even more will flow. European allies are really stepping up, including Czechia, which has plans to increase its core defense spending to 3% by 2030. So we need allied governments and politicians across the spectrum to make the tough choices. and explain why it is necessary to invest if we are to ensure the safety, the security and prosperity of our people. But of course, cash alone can't provide security. We need the capabilities, real firepower, heavy metal, as well as new tech. And that's what our defense industry across the alliance needs to deliver, faster than ever, in Europe and also in the United States. Simply all over the alliance, we are not producing enough. And this brings me to my second point, defense production. Until recently, Russia was producing more ammunition than all NATO allies, including the US, including Turkey, the whole of NATO together. Much faster than we possibly could. And their economy is not bigger than Texas. So can you imagine that Texas, the state of Texas, producing more ammunition than the whole of NATO, including the US, Turkey, the whole of the EU, etc. But having recognized the problem, I can tell you that on this issue we are already turning the tide on defense production, and particularly when it comes to ammunition. If you look only at the countries of the European Union, their annual capacity to produce artillery ammunition will be 6 times that of just 2 years ago. 6 times. That's 2 million rounds by the end of this year. And again, that's only Europe. Czechia and its impressive defense industry contribute significantly, I can tell you, to this growth. And as a result, we are gradually refilling our stocks and narrowing the production gap with Russia. And this is my core message this morning. It's essential. It's essential for our own security. And to keep supporting Ukraine, like Czechia does, through its unique ammunition initiative. And again, I want to thank Czechia for doing this. So we see very good trends. But there is still a lot more to do, including to accelerate production of more complex capabilities like tanks, like missiles and air defense systems. But also the kind of kit we see becoming an essential aspect of modern warfare, including drones. We need to build on our experience in ramping up the production of artillery shells, and we can certainly, by the way, learn here from Ukraine and Ukraine's rapid industrial mobilization. And, can I add, innovation. Since February 2022, Ukraine has ramped up its yearly artillery systems production from nearly 0 to well over 200 heavy artillery systems. So going from a single prototype to mass production in really record time. Crucially, Ukraine is now also one of the world's largest producers of autonomous systems, able to produce more than 4.5 million drones per year. And that's truly stunning. Imagine this across Europe and North America, and I believe that's our direction of travel. For the industry representatives in this room, there's massive opportunity. The demand for capabilities is real and urgent. It is on the rise and it will continue. We need all your help to further increase production lines, speed up innovation and support development and production of the capabilities that allies need in Europe and in the US. There's also an added benefit for those who may not be industry executives or major investors. When industry steps up supply, the result is not only more security, but also more economic growth and many more jobs. So the defense dividend is real. We all stand to gain. From big industries and tech companies to ordinary citizens. Last week, in Unterlüss in Germany, I visited a new Rheinmetall plant, and it is now creating 500 new jobs. And that's just one factory of many. And there will be many more on both sides of the Atlantic. And I believe this is a good news story. But I know that some may not see it that way. Some may worry about a new arms race, but our own aim, I can tell you, is not to provoke. Our aim is to protect and to ensure that we can continue to enjoy the freedom and security that we all hold so dear. The freedom and security that NATO was founded to preserve. we should not forget. Our need to increase defense investment and production is in response to the threats we face. Russia's unprovoked war against Ukraine is the most obvious example of that threat. But the threat will not end when this war does, nor is the challenge limited to Russia. China, Iran and North Korea pose challenges individually and as a result of their cooperation. Only look at the pictures from Beijing the last couple of days and the hand-holding. They are increasing their defense industrial collaboration to unprecedented levels. They are preparing for long-term confrontation, and as I said earlier, the challenges we face are lasting. So we must be prepared. Of course, we have a real advantage in our unity and in the NATO alliance. This is not Europe alone, but Europe and North America together. All 32 of us, united in our commitment to collective defense, and united in our plans for how to deter and defend, day after day, year after year. And what's more, it's not only NATO, but NATO with our partners, the EU, Ukraine, and countries around the world, not least in the Indo-Pacific, Australia, Japan, New Zealand, and the Republic of Korea. So it is a team effort. Together we have what it takes to prevail. We have world-class industries, we have innovative minds, and we have the freedom that allows innovation to thrive. Our capabilities are unsurpassed, and it is up to us to ensure they stay that way. Our future is therefore in our hands. We are combining our forces and leveraging our respective advantages. And that's how we will outproduce and outsmart our competitors. That's how we stay stronger, produce faster, and innovate better. And that's how we win the competition and preserve peace through strength. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Marvelous, marvelous.